Joining us now on the sofa, Ian Daniels, a colorectal surgeon, president of the Colostomy UK, Debbie Meredith, who's had both the colostomy and ileostomy.
The urostomy.
Yes, thank you. Well, do you know what? I think we're, the whole part of the point of this is people are on a learning curve, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, don't know that much. And that report, it was so interesting hearing experiences. And to be honest, it's good and bad, isn't it? We heard people sharing experiences and how they're coping and how they're dealing with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you can pick up on that, Debbie, first of all. And then we hear very difficult stories about circumstances people find themselves in and people being very intolerant.
Yes.
Is that something you've experienced?
Yes, I mean, some people with a stoma find it hard to adapt to life. Obviously, I had an ileostomy to start with. I had that reversed.
Can you, just so people understand, what is that?
So an ileostomy is a stoma. So this is a stoma that's part of your intestine that has a bag that goes over.
OK, what I want you to do, if you do, so people can see it, so the cameras can pick it up.
Yeah.
Can you just sort of hold them up, and then explain literally where they are on your body and how it's used?
So I have two stomas. So this at present, so this is a colostomy here, and this one here, I have another stoma which is the urostomy here. So this one is for the poo to go into, and this one is for the urine to go into. And
that rubber bit, the stoma, that connects, maybe Ian, you can jump in on this, that connects to what?
So essentially, a stoma means a mouth, so it's just a way for contents of your bowel to get outside. So classically, people think of a colostomy coming from your large bowel, your colon, classically over on the left-hand side, and what comes out essentially looks same as what comes out of your bottom. Then you've got
because the bowel's had time to digest and form.
Because we've made it so far down the bowel, the only part, it's almost close to your bottom, so you've still got most of your large bowel. What comes out tends to be formed. If you make an ileostomy, ileostomy comes from small bowel, the ileum. That comes out over onto the right-hand side, and classically, that's where you've still got a lot more liquid content to come through, because the role of your colon is to absorb water to make everything solid, essentially. Now, the third type, which is the type that we don't hear of much very often, which is what Debbie has just been talking about, is a urostomy, and that's where people have had their bladder removed, or in men, their bladder and their prostate, and therefore we divert the urine out through what we call a conduit. We use a section of small bowel to bring it out on the surface so that urine can come out. So some people will have a colostomy, some people will have an ileostomy, and some people, like Debbie, will have two, depending upon why they needed it in the first place.
And Debbie, that stoma, is that permanently on you?
So both of them are permanent, yes.
And so they're attached to those openings?
Yeah, so essentially it is the bowel inside you we bring out onto the surface, and it looks like a little elephant's trunk.
OK.
It's not a plastic model, that's just an example. It is actually a little bit of your bowel that comes out onto the surface.
No, they have no feeling to it, so they're there. I can push into them, they don't hurt, they don't have any feeling to it at all.
So why do you have both?
I have both from having started off with stage 3 rectal cancer back in 2019. Unfortunately, cancer came back in my pelvic area and lungs, so I went to stage 4. So I was in Southampton, had a 20-hour total pelvic exenteration operation, which basically clears most stuff from in the pelvic area, and that resulted in me having the colostomy and urostomy formed at the same time back in 21. So
how are you now?
I'm good now, yes, thank you. So I went on to have 2 lung operations afterwards back in 22, had a little scare with a couple of polyps in 23, but I'm clear at the moment on all my scans.
So along the way, Debbie, you've learned a lot about practical implications and living with. I don't know if that's the correct phrase to use. And that's where some of the underwear that you've helped me involved in designing has come about.
Not designing as such. So I was asked to do some trial for Marks and Spencer's. So these are the stoma underwear. OK,
just hold those there for a second. Explain what's so significant about how they're
designed. They just look like a normal pair of
the normal
knickers,
pair,
don't they?
but on the inside they have an internal pocket. So what happens when you have that attached to here, that sits inside the pocket, so it's away from your skin.
And why is that necessary?
So if you have that, you've got adhesive on your skin permanently, which causes skin problems and things. So by having that away from your skin, it stops if you're sweating or in hot weather. It just keeps the skin a bit
more comfortable.
And more comfortable.
Because they've got to be higher as well, haven't they? So it must be quite difficult before this.
And so you have things like this, the opening for where the urine comes out of. So things like that, if you haven't got a pocket inside, are sitting against your skin. So,
do you know what, Ian? As Debbie was describing the practicality of that, and thinking, why didn't someone do this before? I mean, does it, maybe there were some.
You could get them on the NHS, couldn't you?
Maybe just not as well designed, or.
Yeah. So what we've really seen over the last 10 to 15 years is this recognition that quality of life is so important after cancer surgery and other major surgeries. People always focused on, you know, the quantity of your life. You know, you were grateful to have survived your disease, but you know, as cancer survival rates, as treatments for inflammatory bowel disease have changed, and all these things, we've now got far more people living with the consequences of the treatment that we've given. And just like anybody else, you want to be able to do normal activities. You want to be able to just go on holiday. You want to be able to go to a swimming pool. As your film showed, you know, we've got people playing rugby. You know, you can't get much more full-on contact than that. And yet, you know, all of us like to look and feel good. We like to wear nice clothes. We don't want to make it obvious what we've got.
So what was the underwear like before?
So
that you could get hold of?
Prescription underwear from certain companies, which was nice, but tended to be navy, black, didn't seem to be ones you get on prescription. You can pay for underwear, but it's very pricey. So with Marks and Spencer's coming into the market, very reasonably priced, others will definitely follow. So.
What's it like sleeping at night? Because I know you're thinking about pyjamas as well. Explain that one.
Yeah, so at night time, obviously, with this urostomy bag, urostomy fills up constantly all the time. So
Do you have to sleep on your back?
I don't now. I did at first when I first had surgery, but now at night time I'll connect a nighttime drainage bag to this, so I'll have a long catheter tube that sits in a bucket on the floor. So it's quite uncomfortable sometimes with tubing if you've got it down the leg of your pyjamas or things. So I have mentioned to Marks and Spencer's about maybe having some pyjamas with something like the internal pocket, maybe with a little hole for the catheter tube to go through, because it would only benefit, you know, people with a urostomy, but also people that have catheters and different things as well. So just to get a comfortable night's sleep, because I haven't really had a good night's sleep since having stomas, because obviously having them on both sides, whatever side I lie on, is not very comfortable. So.
Debbie, thank you so much for sharing so much of your story with us. It's really important, I think. And Ian, thank you for your time as well.
It's
your
like
expertise.
the simple things
Yeah.
that you could be a solution that just retailers and clothes manufacturers need to think about. And
it's about maintaining a normal life.
Exactly. You were bang on. It's not about the quantity. You know, if you're going to live that life, live it well. Live it to the best of your ability.
And do the things you enjoy doing.
Exactly. Thank you so much.